What is up, gaming world? Arcanist PvP here. Today I'm bringing you my very first commentated video. Very excited to be bringing you this video. I've only had the channel up for a week now, and I've got a lot of views and a lot of supports, and actually got a request to do this video. So today I'm going to be giving you my ESO Sorcerer PvP build / strategy guides. I'm going to be covering everything regarding PvP. Attribute points, skill points, gear, strategy, build, rotation, anything that might help you increase your experience with Sorcerer PvP and ESO. I'm actually going to be going over all those for both solo and group PvP. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Going to go right down the list here. First off, I am a High Elf Altmer, by far the best race for a Sorcerer you can have. Hands down, no argument, end of story. First off, in classes, Dark Magic, first off, the ultimate ability, Negate Magic, is by far the most useful skill you can pick up for a Sorcerer, by far. Morph it into Suppression Field, it gives you 1750 spell resistance. The other morph gives you 12% health and magicka back if you dispel any enemy abilities, I believe. Spell resistance, far better. Suppression Fields, awesome, awesome ultimate. Crystal Fragments. This is your main DPS ability. That you are building your class around this ability. Make sure that you morph it into fragments and not the AoE. You want to be able to get insta-procs for half magicka. This is the Sorcerer ability right here. And I will explain to you why throughout the rest of the video here. Next, Dark Exchange. Also a must-have. You'll see this on my second bar here. Basically what this does is it takes your stamina and turns it into health and magicka. You know, as a sorcerer, you're all magicka based. Stamina you're only going to be using for you know, dodging, rolling, and CC break. Other than that, and this ability, don't use stamina because you're going to need it for that CC break, which is the key to being able to. You want to be able to kite and you know, stay away from your enemy when you're a sorcerer. Dark Exchange, huge. I actually haven't even morphed this yet because it's been on my second bar, and all I do is PvP. Since I was veteran rank 1, all I have done is PvP. I've gotten to 3, you know, just from PvPing. I unfortunately can't stand questing, and ESO's quests for me are a little boring and repetitive. Other people like them, to each their own. I definitely prefer leveling through PvP. You know, definitely going to give me a disadvantage not being a 10, but fun nonetheless. Moving on to the passives in Dark Magic, pick up everything. Unholy Knowledge, Magicka Stamina increased by 5%, no-brainer. Dark Magic spell heals player for 5% max health when you hit them. That means every time you hit them with the Crystal Fragments, you're healing yourself for 5% of your health. No-brainer again. Persistence. Increasing duration of Dark Magic spells. It actually, if you see here, it's a knockdown from 2 seconds originally to 2.4 seconds. So it does affect the knockdown time on your Crystal Fragments persistence. Exploitation, huge. Critical strike chance by 15% when attacking targets affected by Dark Magic is where the Suppression Field comes in, and Crystal Fragments. You get somebody in the Suppression Field, you hit them with the Crystal Fragments, you get that extra 15% crit. Huge. Also, if somebody is actually knocked down by Crystal Fragments and you hit them again, you will get that extra 15% crit as well. Again, grab them all. Moving on, Daedric Summoning. To tell you the truth, all these abilities here, you know, summoning pets are PvE. For the love of God, don't use pets in PvP, please. It is the funniest thing when you see somebody stealthed and they've got this huge, you know, winged twilight in their clan fair, as well as their, you know, other pet they were given, you know, following them, giving away their position. It's hilarious. Bound armor, you know, it's arguable. It does give you that big armor buff, but I'm going to tell you why you don't want bound armor later, and it has to do with the Mage Light. Hardened Ward. Now, most sorcerers don't use this ability because they will replace it with a Destruction Staff ability. For me, this saves my life constantly, and I would not leave home without it. Starts as Conjured Ward. You can morph it into Hardened Ward, which gives you an extra 33% strength of the shield on yourself. The other morph affects your pets, again, solely PvE. Pets are only PvE. So morph it into Hardened Ward, absolute must. I keep it on my first bar so I can spam it. Passives in Daedric Summoning. Rebate I did grab because on my second bar I do carry the Summoned Charge Atronach. I do pick up the Atronach and I morph it into the AoE damage. Not greater health and greater health and longevity. You wanted to do the AoE damage. The AoE attack is extremely powerful. You know, you get that stun when you bring it down in the first place, so it's a great ability. When it dies, you get 15% max magicka back. It is affected by the ultimate, this passive, as well as this Daedric protection. So the reason I keep it on this bar is because anytime you have a summoning ability slotted, including the ultimates, your health regeneration increases by 20%. So on my health/defense bar, that's where I want the Atronach, because when I switch over to that Resto Staff, you know, the 20% health regeneration helps tremendously. Power Stone, no-brainer, reduces the cost of the ultimate by 15%, must have. Expert Summoner, if you have some extra points, you can pick it up. You know, it's not huge, just going to increase your Atronach's range by 15%. You know, if you do have the extra points, pick it up. Storm Calling is my bread and butter. Gotta love the Endless Fury. Overload, don't get it. Again, it's a PvE ultimate. You know, in PvP, the heavy attack does do great damage, but you know, if the person wants to get away from me, it's too easy, especially while you're casting it. The light attack overloads do nothing, so overload I don't take. Endless Fury, Mage's Fury morphed from, or excuse me, Endless Fury morphed from Mage's Fury. It's a no-brainer on the morph. You want to get mana back when you get a killing blow with this, because you kill everybody. As you can see, it deals 145 damage on impact, and if you get the player below 20% within 4 seconds of casting this spell, it explodes for an additional 467 damage. It is an insta-kill. It also does explosion damage on the enemies around it within a 4-meter radius of 93. And like I said, the morph at the end, killing an enemy with this ability restores 287 magicka. Priceless. So, must have. Next ability, probably the most arguable ability in the class, is the Mage's Bolt. Also, the most overpowered ability in the game. I morph it into Streak. Actually, I just changed from Lightning Bolt to Streak. I had Lightning Bolt for a long time with the little balls that it leaves that absorbs the 5 projectiles or for 5 seconds. Probably saved my life a lot, but I decided I wanted to have a little more aggressive build as opposed to a defensive build. You know, I already have the shield on my main bar, so having Streak, you know, teleports you forward. It still disorients the enemy for 2 seconds if you teleport through them, and it also does 223 shock damage. And as you can see, I just picked it up, so it's probably going to do a lot more damage once I get it leveled up there. The main reason I switched from Lightning Bolts to Streak is because those Lightning Balls are like a little trail of crumbs leading the enemy right to you. It's a lot easier to get away when you have Streaks, so I think it was a good switch. Moving on to the passives, take them all. Capacitor increases magicka regeneration by 10%, increase storm calling damage by 5%, disintegrate, a chance to disintegrate enemies with low health by for 10%. This is great for PvP because if you disintegrate an enemy, they can't be revived by a soul gem. They have to respawn at a keep. Great passive. Expert Mage, reduced cost of storm calling spells by 10%, also a must-have. Moving on to weapons. Destruction Staff first off, you guys are going to find this hilarious. No abilities. Destruction Staff abilities, for me, are strictly AoE. Impulse and Wall of Elements, you're going to want to stick in probably for Mage's Fury, and maybe Hardened Ward. I haven't played with it too much for AoE. I'm not an expert there, but definitely Impulse, Wall Elements for AoE. Now, this Destructive Touch is the ability I was talking about earlier that most people replace the Hardened Ward with, having the range knockback or the knockback and stun instead of the shields. I find I stay alive longer with the shield, so I don't take it. But you can definitely switch it out with the Destructive Touch on the Destructive excuse me, destructive staff. Most of these passives don't affect me now. A couple of them do. You know, these two are only destructive spell ability focused. This one here actually increases the chance to apply your Fire Shock or Cold status effects just with light and heavy attacks. So this one is good to have. Elemental Force and Ancient Knowledge must have. Increases the heavy attack charge by 10%. It's very good. Heavy attacks with your staff do great damage, 400 to 500 pop. And this last one, if I ever go AoE, I'll probably take restores 140 magicka when killing an enemy with a destruction spell. Don't use any, so I don't need it. Restoration Staff, all on my second bar here. Let me add real quick that once I hit rank 10, I most likely will be using a Restoration Staff as my main weapon, right? Because of this ability right here, Cycle of Life. I've only got 1 point into it. Once I get 2, it will give me 10% damage bonus for every 20% health you have. So if you have full health, all of your abilities are doing 10% extra damage. I mean, it's priceless. So I think a Restoration Staff is the best Sorcerer DPS weapon you can have. As far as abilities go, I take Regeneration morphed into Rapid Regeneration. The other one, the Mutagen, a lot of people take mistakenly. You know, the burst is so high in ESO that Mutagen, which what it does is gives you a big heal if you get down to low health. Whoever's affected by the spell, doesn't matter. People are just going to blow through that little mini heal anyways. Take Rapid Regeneration, increases the HOTS over time. It goes faster and for more healing. By far, better choice. I also take Steadfast Ward. I'm a noob, as you can see. I don't have it morphed yet. It's an Ally Ward, I believe it's called, which shields both you and an ally. Right now it just shields the ally with the lowest health. But this is great. Bolstered by 300%. Depending on how much health is lost, this will save you and your buddy. You know, like the video I just uploaded with me and Face Melter, we wouldn't have been able to survive without it. You know, it's a spammable shield and that you can put on you and your buddy. It's great for small group PvP. And take all the passives again. Essence Drain, like I said, I'm going to be using the staff at rank 10, so when I'm doing heavy attacks, it's going to heal somebody for 15% of the damage done. Increases healing if allies under 30% health by 15%, no brainer. Explain Cycle of Life and Absorb will be much more effective once I have that as my main weapon. And Restoration Master, definitely getting it. And moving on to armor. Light armor, take them all. You need everything in here. It is all magicka-based stuff, spell crits, ignoring players' spell resistance, stuff of that nature. You get it all. Annulment, you don't need. It's kind of redundant with the spell resistance already being so high from spell warding. I much rather have the Resto Staff Shield and my Hardened Ward as opposed to Annulment. As you can see here, I do have a movable on my bar. I did level up heavy armor, thinking that I would go 5-piece light, 2-piece heavy starting, but in reality, the 2-piece heavy did not, you know, reduce the damage enough to make it viable. Bolstering the magicka with just the light armor as much as you can is by far a better choice, I believe. And into the soul magic, and as you can see, I'm not a vampire or a werewolf as of yet. If they do seem to fix the vampire passives in the next patch, I may think about going vampire. Werewolf doesn't have a lot of use in PvP, especially if you morph into a werewolf. Jesus, you're getting blown up. I mean, you know, everyone's got silver bolts, and I haven't seen any werewolves actually, you know, be a viable spec at all yet in PvP. Vampires definitely, as you know, they did get that big nerf. But the passives for Vampire are still greatly usable. So if ESO ever gets their act together and fixes all that stuff, hopefully in the Craglorn patch, a lot of stuff is going to be fixed, or I'm scared they're going to lose a lot of subs if it's not. But I'll definitely pick up Vampire if they do fix that. Soul Strike, great ultimates. I haven't leveled it up. But again, if you watch my recent video featuring Face Melter, he uses the fully leveled Soul Strike and he melts faces. This thing does major damage. You know, you do have to kind of set it up because you have to stand still while casting it. So you kind of got to you know, set them up, CC them, or knock them down before you cast it. But it will one-shot people. And Soul Trap, I don't bother morphing it. This is, you know, if you've got extra points at the very end, go ahead and pick this stuff up. Soul Shatter, this is the ability that you see when people explode with very large explosions when they die. This is Soul Shatter. Strictly cosmetic as far as I'm concerned. It does say that it does damage, but I have never seen anybody killed by it. I've never been killed by it. So, like I said, I believe it's more cosmetic than anything. And these other two, again, if you have the points and you like to fill up soul gems a lot, definitely grab them. I believe you do get hundreds of soul gems when leveling in veteran land. And moving on to Guild, Fighters Guilds. I don't have any abilities in the Fighters Guild. You know, the Silver Bolts were good. I just don't have a spot for them. You know, and again, I want to save my stamina for you know, rolling. CC breaks specifically. The CC break is the key. And you know, if I'm using a movable, I want to keep the stamina for that as well. So I just don't have a use for them. And the rest of these, again, you know, you may have a spot for them if you're a healer. The Circle of Protection could be viable. Dawnbreaker is a fun ultimate. Soul Strike much better for a single target ultimate, so I wouldn't take it. The rest of these PvE stuff, as well as most of the passives, Intimidating Presence and Persuasive Will as well with the Mage's Guild, must have for leveling. Slayer, I do take these because there are still quite a few vampires out there, and it does increase your spell power by 6% when attacking those. And you know what? Maybe I will take this right now. Maybe it's better than Wicked. Give me 3 ultimate when I kill a vampire. The rest of them, you can still get the bounty quest if you do this. You know, just fun stuff. Not really important for PvP. Moving on to Mage's Guild, Inner Light. Oh boy, this is a must-have. And before I explained why I don't take Bound Armor, you know, this will reduce your magic by 10%, and that is because I do not want to couple that with the 5% that you lose when you know, casting Inner Light. So you don't want to have less 15% less magic. That's just not viable. But Inner Light starts off as Mage's Light, 7% extra crit. When you morph it into Inner Light, it gives it an extra 10%, moving it to 17%, leveled up to a full 20% spell crit. That is unbelievable amount of crit. It is a must-have. If you ever see a mage without it, they know absolutely nothing about what they're doing. Undaunted. I haven't taken anything. I have seen and heard that trapping webs can be a very fun and useful ability in PvP, especially if you have somebody using the synergy, spawning the broodlings. They can do quite a bit of damage, and you know, they're trapped as the webs already, so very fun ability, just haven't gotten it yet. Moving on to Alliance War, Rapid Maneuver, pretty straightforward. I take, for situational stuff, moving across the map very fast. Warhorn is crap. Caltrops, I see a lot of people using more for group PvP. Again, you know, you're in large groups, you want to dismount. When you morph it, it dismounts people off their horses, and you want to snare a large group. This is good. Passives are great here. I can't wait till I get Combat Frenzy. Bestows an additional 13 ultimate when killing an enemy player, but Reach increases your range when you're next to keeps, and Continuous Attack increases magic and stamina regeneration after you capture a resource or a keep. So if you're doing sieging, stuff like that, this is great. I take it anyways because, you know, you never know when you're just going to randomly take a resource or a keep, and you know, you get that bonus for 10 minutes. So it's definitely a must-have. Supports, Barrier, definitely a group thing, but a great ultimate. Huge damage shields on all nearby enemies for 30 seconds. I have used it, as you can see, just a little, just to check it out. I really liked it, but like I said, I don't do a lot of group PvP, so I didn't really have a spot for it. If I do an AoE build, I would definitely use Barrier. These are definitely more healing abilities. Siege Shield, of course, you see the big bubble everywhere. And then if you did have an AoE/healing, strictly healing spec, this magic aid would help you tremendously, increasing magic regeneration by 5% for each support ability slotted. I do take Combat Medic. If I'm close to a keep, my healing is increased by 10%. And the Battle Resurrection I'll definitely get, you know, if you're with buddies and you want to decrease the time it takes to resurrect them. Definitely grab that. And onto Racial's Take It All. Like I said, High Elf is the best sorcerer ever. Spell charge, increased Magicka recovery by 9%. Max Magicka by 10%, increased damage with cold fire or shock effects by 4%. Now, the only thing about this last one, kind of on the fence. This is why I'm not fully sold on the Resto Staff yet as my main DPS ability. You know, you're not going to get this increased damage with the status effects, which, you know, you took the ability back here in the Destruction Staff skill line that increases the chance to apply them. So if you're increasing the chance to apply them, you definitely want the damage to be more. But, you know, like I said, if you're using the Resto Staff, these aren't going to apply. So, double-edged sword there. Crafting, don't need to go over any of that with you guys. That is up to you. Alright, there you have my skills. Let's move on to attributes. Now, this, I haven't respec'd these at all, so I kind of just stumbled upon a pretty good build. You know, until you hit 10, of course. Once you hit 10, everything changes because you're going to be getting legendary enchants on your gear, and you know you don't want to overcharge too much stuff. But as of now, 20 Magicka, 29 health seems pretty well, because I will show you later on my gear, but I've got nothing but Magicka enchants on my gear, and 2,000 Magicka is right about where you want to be sitting. 2,000 Magicka is just about a perfect magic pool. So with that 20 points in Magicka and full enchanted gear, just regular enchants, just silver enchants, will put you right at about 2,000. So that worked out great on my first try. You know, I got real lucky. You know, put everything else into health. Don't use stamina. You know, please, for the love of God, if you're a sorcerer, don't put any points in stamina. You want to have as much health in Magicka as possible. And as you can see, I do have a wonderful add-on here. It's a soft capped add-on for ESO. Basically tells you where the soft cap is, and so you know for every point over that soft cap, you know, it's going to be overcharged. Overcharge meaning, you know, as it says right there, it becomes increasingly difficult to raise it further. So every point that you put over this 1852, I believe you're only getting like half the actual Magicka for it. So, you know, but when you really want to stack an ability, Magicka or stamina, it's okay, because that's, you know, that's where you want to be. So there you are for my attributes. Can't go over the Mundus stone, the Apprentice. Now, this is by far the best Mundus stone you can have for a sorcerer. Increasing your spell penetration, all that does is mean you're hit harder. Your crystal fragments hit hard, and you know that's with the crit involved. You know, coupled with the spell penetration, people get exploded. So definitely grab the Apprentice. You know, a lot of people grab the Mage for the increased Magicka, but like I said, if you do your attribute points right and the enchanting right, you can actually get rid of the Mage and get the Apprentice. And there's also the Atronach as well. Don't use it because your Magicka recovery is already overcharged enough with all of your passives with the High Elf. Okay, and let's move on to gear. I'll give you a quick look at the sets I'm going to be using. I don't have all my sets completed yet, unfortunately. Well, Brazeman, this is Face Melter. You guys are going to watch the video. He's wanting to go murk people, so I've got to wrap things up here. Vestments of the Warlock. If you don't have it, don't play Mage. It is so overpowered. Magicka Flood gives you 33% Magicka. Gives you 666 Magicka when you fall below 33%. I mean, every minute, are you kidding me? All of a sudden you look down and your Magicka bar is, you know, back to full. It's amazing. I was rocking all the jewelry of the Warlock because, you know, I wanted to level up my gear. I wanted to be the right level since the Warlock doesn't go over Veteran Rank 1. This is the highest rank you can get for the Warlock set. But even at level 10, the Warlock set right here and here is the best items you can get. You know, the armor will increase on a rank 10 light armor item, I think by like 15 or 20. By far better to have this slotted, and I'm going to tell you why right now, because you want the Dominion sets. Adds 10% spell crit, and yes, the ability again, or the build again, is all about spell crit. So once I get this extra 10% spell crit, I can't wait to see how hard I'm gonna hit. I do have a level 4 ring I can't wait to use. As soon as I hit rank 4, this will be going right here, replacing the signets. Of course, I have the staff to complete the set, and it will give me the 10% spell crit bonus. And once I've got the 6 traits researched on the other 5 pieces of gear, I will be using Willow's Path. Willow's Path, I believe, gives you magicka regeneration. Could be mistaken, and the 5-piece sets increases all regeneration by 20%. I think I am wrong about that 3-piece set, so I can't remember exactly what it is at the moment, but I know it's the best one for mages. So definitely grab Warlock, head, and chest, and neck, and the other 5 pieces on your armor make Willow's Path, and then the rings and your weapon, Wrath of the Imperium. Alright guys, there you have my skills, attributes, and gear. Now let me explain to you why I do what I do. Like I said before, everything is based on crystal fragments. So if you are stealth and you see an enemy, you will cast crystal fragments on them. And as soon as you knock them down, cast it again. The only time you don't want to cast crystal fragments is if you have the fear of being interrupted. Or if you see the guy is blocking. You don't want to cast crystal fragments into a blocking enemy. Blocking does mitigate damage by 50% regardless who you are. Blocking is good. So, like I said, if you're in stealth and they don't know you're there, cast crystal fragments. Cast it again because they're going to be knocked down. After that, definitely hit them up with a streak. Because it does do damage now, and I want to disorient them. I want to streak into them, and if I'm lucky enough like that, I will get that crystal fragments proc. Now I am using the FTC Foundry Tactical Combat add-on, and what that does is it shows you when you get an insta proc across the screen. If you don't have it, your hands will turn purple when you get an insta proc of crystal fragments, as you can see there. Purple hands, you have insta fragments. But it's nice to have that add-on. It also, you know, gives you a better bar. It shows the damage and healing and all that stuff. A great add-on to have. So, you know, once you get a proc, of course, cast it right away, because the procs don't last that long. And if you'll notice here, let me see if I can get one again. 8 seconds you've got to cast it. So, definitely want to get that off as fast as possible. And again, when I'm spamming my shield, what am I going to get? Crystal fragments, and as you can see, it didn't. The add-on's a little buggy sometimes. It won't always give you the information, but you can see I had purple hands. That was an insta cast from my shield, and again, there it is. Oh, sorry. Your hands actually do turn purple with the shield, so you have to don't get confused by that. They have to stay purple after casting the shield, but as you can see, so casting a defensive shield it takes 14% mana. I'm almost back to full mana. Of course, not in combat. But it doesn't take a lot of mana to cast, and it's just amazing. It procs your crystal fragments. Get it. Mage Light, what does it do? It procs crystal fragments. So when coupled later on with that Mage's Guild passive, the Might of the Guild, 10% increased spell dosage after casting a Mage's Guild ability. When I'm in stealth, that's all I'm going to be doing, man. I'm going to cast that Mage's Might. Crystal fragments. They're going to be dead so fast. Big crystal fragments. And what happens when I switch to my resto bar? Now, I do have my crystal fragments on here, usually, but as you saw in the skills demonstration I showed you before, I did have, excuse me, immovable. This is, I will interchange immovable with fragments here. The reason I do this, if I'm by myself, I will typically have immovable there because, you know, even one-on-one with an archer, they can interrupt a lot of spells, and it's really good to have. You want to be able to cast anything at any time, including your Dark Exchange. So if I've got immovable popped here, and you know I'm fighting an archer, I can go ahead and cast Dark Exchange right in his face, and I'll be healing and getting mana back right in his face, and there's nothing he can do about it. Now, as you can see, your stamina will be completely depleted, and you won't get a large of a Dark Exchange because you just use that stamina on the movable. Typically, I do have some stam pots. I don't have any potions right now. It's pretty sad because like I said, I don't PvE and I don't want to spend my gold on them. So I'm probably at a big disadvantage there. I'm in the process of leveling alchemy because I do need those elite potions. They're a must-have. The ones that restore health, magicka, and stamina all at once. I think my game would be increased quite heavily if I had those. So, immovable, crystal fragments, interchangeable, just depending on the scenario, what you're doing, who you're with, that type of thing. But the crystal fragments is great to have on your second bar as well. I'm going to show you why. Your fight, you're shielding yourself, you're switching back. You want to heal, what does it do? It procs your crystal fragments. Oh my god. Cast it immediately with the same bar, and you knock them down, get away, or switch back, streak real quick, get away a couple times, switch back, heal yourself, cast Dark Exchange if you're out of mana, and then also, if you're getting really low on health, bam, hit that Steadfast Ward. It's going to be, if you're really low on health, it could be up to 900 point damage shield. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. So, definitely, the 900 point damage shield. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. So Steadfast Ward is great, especially if you're with a buddy. Once I morph it into Ally Ward, it's going to shield you both. If you're both low health, you both could get a 900 point damage shield. So definitely priceless on that Steadfast Ward as well. So there you have it, guys. Everything I have procs crystal fragments. That is the key. Proc crystal fragments and explode people. I really hope you enjoyed my video. And much more to come. Please keep subscribing, liking the videos, showing supports. We do this for free. None of these videos get monetized as third-party content is on here. So we're just doing this for you guys, all of the YouTube video makers out there. So please show your support by liking the videos. And I will see you on the battlefield.